Hey, what's up, guys? How you all doing? I hope you're all doing amazing. So today, I just want to talk about how alcohol fucking sucks, dude. Like, trust me. When I was a teenager, like 16, 15, I think my first time drinking was like I remember it was my little brother's birthday. Um, but doesn't matter. It was I remember that day I was going into my high school and I was like going around talking with my friends like, "Oh dude, guess what? Guess what I did?" And they're like, What happened? What happened?" And I'm like, "I got drunk for the first time, believe it or not." Because I kind of believe that kids already, gotten drunk, you know, and that I was kind of behind. I didn't really research it nor nothing, you understand? But that wasn't the case, nobody was, I mean, yeah, there are always like few occasions, few misfits, if you want to call them, who, start smoking in like middle school or like, and drinking especially. I think it's pretty common these days, with all the vapes and stuff. Uh, Yo, dude, kids these days are getting like so much shit, literally. But let me get back to the story. So, why I hate alcohol is basically really, really simple, It all comes down to well, exactly, the come down. Yeah, can I get a round of applause? I'm not gonna edit it out. No fucking way I'm gonna edit it out. I'm too lazy, dude. So, before I started, doing green, which is my, you know, if you had to pick your poison, that would be my poison. I was doing the alcohol, the good old beer, wine, whatever you want, vodka, all that, all that. I didn't really have, like some people are right, they're like kind of being, sissies about it. I don't want to be rude and be like, oh no, I don't like whiskey, or no, I don't like gin or something like that. Like, come on, bruh. Like, if you're gonna, and like the best part is like you can always mix it. You can always like mix it with juices and all that stuff. So so it's basically never like the raw alcohol unless it's, God forbid, a fucking beer. You know what I mean? Um, Yeah, I don't know, and that was a time where one beer used to do me right, used to do me good. But yeah, lately not that much. Like I said, I've been in my green phase. So basically, the come down is so bad, because when you start drinking, you're like feeling really good. I don't know if you guys ever done Xans, but this is probably like for another story, the Xanax story, which I just want to, mention. I don't condone anything, don't even smoke a cigarette, I just have to say that, because it's in my contract. It's my contract. I'm sorry if that was loud. I'm still not gonna edit it. But yeah, that was like probably the worst thing, honestly. We had I remember, when I was in high school, we had that first aid learning, or something where we would go like, out of the city, to this like facility. Uh I don't know, well, facility sounds very cryptic and dystopian. It was like a camp, and I just didn't want to, I didn't want to, learn about first aid. And I was like, you know what, I just want to get drunk. And that's what I did. The night came along, and I wanted to shower. I felt pretty gross. It's been a long trip. uh I knew we are gonna get some free time. I was single at the time, so I was like, all right, possibly meet somebody. you know I wanna go somewhere with my boys. You know already how it goes. But no, dude. You know, as soon as I exit the shower, I just see the like the janitor lady, and she was like, "Oh, I'm closing the rooms. I'm closing the rooms." And I'm like, Jesus, all right. Can I at least like get a shirt or something? And like she did actually let me get a shirt. And you know, this is when I realized that okay, all my buddies like went outside. And yeah, like I could have called them and be like, "Hey, where you at?" This and that. But I wasn't really, you know what I mean? I wasn't really that close to them. We were like classmates. It all happened like in uh well, yeah, it was a high school. I don't know why did I think it was a middle school. It wasn't the middle school, it was a high school. Although I did go in the middle school also, but I didn't get drunk. I was just, you know what I mean? I was a kid. Uh, so I was going, downstairs, to like exit the camp or some shit. And I see like these two chicks. I don't even remember their names, which to be honest, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. We were just going, and I was like, "Hey, like, what you guys carrying?" Because they had like this like bag from a supermarket or something, and I could just tell there were bottles inside and all that, and I was right, correct. And they were like, "Oh, we're just gonna, going to the shore, because that camp was like on the seaside and there was a shore and all that." Um, so I was like, do you mind if I, come by? I was pretty smooth talker, back in the day. I'm kind of a little rusty right now, you can probably tell, uh, from me making this right now. But I actually, we actually went, it was pretty cold outside, mind you. So we couldn't like do anything. Well, I was about to say not safe for work, but like I guess drinking was not safe for work also. But I was like specifically thinking about we didn't go to the I don't know, the skinny dipping or something like that. So we finally chose our destination. We sat down, and some girl had like Jaeger, and I never really had Jaeger before. It was obviously like mixed with Coke. You could, like I said, with alcohol you could drink it. But it just goes, a lot easier when you're mixing it with something. And Jaeger is usually mixed with Coke if you're not really familiar with that. So it was really dark. We were on the shore, there weren't any like street lights or nothing. It was just moonlight and us. It was pretty damn nice. And I was drinking and I didn't really know what to expect. Like I knew Jaeger was like stronger. Like it's not like beer, you know what I mean? But fast forward the story, it doesn't really matter what we were talking about or nothing. Fast forward the story, oh dude. Oh dude, like I couldn't walk. I couldn't like okay, so it was kind of getting to the time where we had to go back to the camp. It was like late. They were probably like doing room checkups, and you didn't want to go missing because they would like call your parents, and you don't want that, all right? You don't want your parents intervening in nothing in your life, all right? That's what I learned so far from my life. Unless like you need like help ASAP or something like that, of course they're gonna help you then. And then I realized like how actually cooked I was. I was like, it wasn't my first time drinking. It was just one of the times that I would drink. And I literally like said to those girls like, okay, I don't do this often, and this happened to me first time. But like, can you guys please help me get back to the camp? Oh, dude, when I tried to walk by my own, like I know like I've been drunk before, you know what I mean? And you always hear those stories like of people like stumbling and this and that, and I don't know why, but I never believed it. I never believed it. I was like, come on, dude, like I was drunk. I was so drunk. Like I I got to the point where I was almost like about to puke, and I never had that experience. But this night I had. This night I freaking had. I was like, I was leaning to the left, bro. I was trying to walk like it was a straight road, literally just a straight road, and to get to the camp. I just couldn't keep my balance, and that was so mind-boggling to me. I wasn't like nauseous yet. I was just like, oh dude, I just want to get home. I was more or less, anxious because I didn't know if the girls are just gonna, ditch me there and be like, hey fucker, you know what? Take care of yourself, because that would be pretty cooked, and people would have to find me, and not to mention it was freezing cold. So when I eventually got to the camp, I don't know, stumbled into my room, and all my homies were there, and they were all, as soon as I walked in, they were like, "Hey, he's back," and they were like, "Bro, we thought like you, whatever." They didn't even know what happened, because they obviously were expecting me to like hang out with them, since it was like a lot of other schools, and schools usually like stuck together. So they were like, "Oh, like where were you?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just getting drunk." And like they stopped me, and they said like, "Oh, dude, we like the whole room started smelling as soon as you walked in." So yeah, uh, if you avoid green because you think you're gonna smell, don't forget alcohol does the same. So I don't know. Again, this is just a sponsor for a mints. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, after the, oh dude, and I don't know, like the I guess the teachers were like doing the checks and all that. I passed, but bro, when I woke up the next morning, I had to go, listen to the classes about first aid. I tried, but I just couldn't. I excused myself because like imagine if I threw up. Like it was all the schools, all the schools around the country, just there. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And they just like continued without me, obviously. Like I didn't expect them to stop. And dude, I just couldn't puke. Like if I puked, I would feel so much better. But I guess from the anxiety, or like somebody hearing me, or like I just didn't. So I kinda went to the harder route without puking. But trust me, oh my God, I was going through hell, dude. And yeah, that's what usually happens to me when I kind of overdo it, when I have a little too much fun. That's what happens. And yeah, that's why I kind of stopped doing it, here and there. Sure, I have a beer or two, nothing's gonna happen. But if I want to get, lifted, if you catch my drift, I don't do alcohol. Maybe I would like mix it, with like green, but that's pretty much it. Green is my go-to, and if you want to hear stories about that, make sure to hit a like, sub, tell me what you think. Hey, dude, my second video, let's get it. You know, I know it's not that professional, it's not that good, but I'm just trying to bring that raw experience, you know what I mean? Just face-to-face talking, although there ain't no face. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out, and I don't know, stay easy, stay lifted, you know what I mean?